Ohio State, they refuse to utter the name of their rival. It's the team up north. Their alphabet is only 25 letters. They cross out all of the M's. Blue band, maize taboo. Ohio State won't say it, but a big flag with a capital M has defined this rivalry. They've got the Buckeyes number, and that number is 4. The other number, 2,191 days since the Buckeyes have won the game. But Ohio State, the reigning champs, they've got their own number, and it's number 1. Best team in the land. Got a measure of redemption by winning the title last year, but full atonement comes only one way. Show them Ohio's here. Seth DeWerth reverberating with a mighty cheer. Hit Michigan hard. Will they finally fall, or will the Buckeyes meet another dastardly fate in the big house? We have huge stakes in the big house today. This is the way the Big Ten championship looks. Indiana in. Ohio State beat Michigan finally, and it will be the Buckeyes going to Indianapolis. But hail to the victors. If they beat Ohio State, if they get Oregon to fall at Washington, Michigan will go into the Big Ten championship game. Plenty to play for, but the great thing about rivalries is that for 60 minutes, all that matters is what happens right here, even when it's cold. Rece Davis along with Kirk Herbstreit, Nick Saban, Michigan legend, Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard, and Pat McAfee, who's undeterred by the cold.
Yeah, I feel like I had to put up or shut up here. You know, a lot of people on the internet are saying, this man who's an adult is always shirtless on my television early on Saturday morning. It must be nice when the weather's okay. Well, how about 22 degrees in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Big Ten football season, with these fine folks who've been here all morning in the freezing cold, excited about what the day brings. Now, I've had the incredible opportunity over the last 4 years to be baptized by the college football world. The reason why the college football landscape is what it is because of the fans that it has. You're talking about fathers and fathers, fathers, and fathers, fathers, mothers, fathers, mothers, fathers, doing the same exact thing for actually hundreds of years. The fan bases are real. The passion is pure. It is deep, and it's damn near cult-like. And whenever you talk about the greatness of college football, you direct it to one weekend, rivalry weekend. It's a time where legacies are made. It's a time where empires can crash on one football field over the span of 4 quarters and some more. And all across the country, we'll be celebrating great fan bases who hate the other side. But anytime you talk college ball and rivalry, you got to talk about one game. That's the game.
Yes.
Now, this particular game obviously has a king on one side, the reigning, defending, national champion, Ohio State Buckeyes!
And on the other side.
And on the other side, in the blue corner. A university that has a fan base that loves to say, Rock Ohio, all day, every day. And they're also the team that hasn't lost in this rivalry in 2,191 days. So whenever you think about those types of stats, and you think about Ryan Day winning the national championship, and then the next day they go up to him and say, hey, that's cute. When are you going to beat Michigan? Well, today could be that day. But it feels like around here, there is no worry with this particular young 6 freshmen starting on their offense, a bunch on the defense. Michigan's happy with where they are. They're pumped to put this team on the field. The world thinks Ohio State's going to beat them. And these Wolverines think we're going to do what we've been doing for 6 years, and that's smack the Ohio State Buckeyes back down to reality. That's all on the line today, and I think being here, it's a little chilly, but Des, I ask you.
Yes, sir.
Heisman winner, Super Bowl MVP,
yes, sir.
Resume certified as a Michigan man, a man who's been on TV for 20-plus years, multiple Emmy Award winner.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask you on this particular day, with Michigan still in the Big Ten championship hunt,
Yes,
Michigan's still in the college football playoff hunt. Is it okay to be a Michigan Wolverine? Is it good to be a Michigan Wolverine? Or?
Well, Pat, I'm glad you asked me that question. Let me give you perspective. I got to give you context, because what's perspective without context, right? So in 1988, I left Cleveland, Ohio, and came to Ann Arbor to play for the Michigan Wolverines. And in that time period, I walked away with a degree from the School of Literature, Science, and Arts and the 1991 Heisman Trophy, like Pat said. But to give it more context, in those 4 years I was in Michigan, I did not lose to the Buckeyes not one time. And to make it even more, I have to tell you this. Yesterday was the 10-year anniversary that the people at the University of Michigan said, you know what? No football player from this day moving forward will wear the number 21. They retired my jersey.
Oh, okay.
10-year anniversary yesterday. So I say that to say, it is great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. Thank you for that opportunity, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah,
thank you.
Let's go.
And thank you, people, for having us here.
Thank you, guys.
Go.
Thank you, guys. Let's go.
Go! Go! I love it up here. It's cold as hell, though.
And that's what Michigan has done in this 4-game winning streak against Ohio State. Now, there's all kinds of intensity when you get to rivalry weekend, Nick, but when you also attach championship-type stakes to it, what's the best way to get your team in the right mental space?
Well, first of all, these games are very emotional. Your legacy as a player is defined by how you do in rivalry games. Yeah. Just like, Des just said, I never lost to Ohio State. He didn't say what the record was when he was a player here. He said we never lost to Ohio State. So it's the same thing in Alabama, Auburn. How'd you do against Auburn? It doesn't matter. These games are very difficult to win on the road because the emotion, it's hard to maintain intensity when you play on the road, which is, obvious last night in the Texas A&M game, A&M playing on the road. So the thing that I always try to do was get our players to focus on, what's in front of them and not be so concerned about, the outcome of the game. Focus on the game, not what happens in the game. So, and that's hard to maintain when you play these games on the road.
No, you're 100% right. And like you said, though, you go to reunions and you see former players, that's what they want to talk about. How did you do in the big rivalry game? So you're 100% right, Coach. I think some coaches, they get tight because the game is so intense and it means so much in the fan base. They put so much pressure on you. And you see some coaches, they start to get tight. And as a player, we take a cue from our coaches. So when we see that, we notice it. And if a coach is coaching tight, then the players, guys, they're going to start to play tight. And I think that when you talk about intensity, Coach, these games are very intense. And that comes from the passion. But to me, the tightness comes from being nervous. And you don't want to have that type of nervousness going to a game like that. You want to have the passion and intensity, but without the nervousness.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Des, and obviously you're an incredible player. I had the opportunity, obviously, to be a part of a couple of massive rivalry games and have a couple of moments that I think about every single day of my life in those rivalry games because that's how special these games are. They live on forever in, memories and passions and clips, you name it. But I think there's also a thing of changing up the routine for these types of games. You talk about, players, can you show up in a big moment? In a rivalry game, what are you going to be? That also comes for, I don't want to throw them under the bus here because it's not really a part of the point, just came through. Refs, aren't necessarily always the best in like clutch moments, big situations. Everybody talks about players, but also to echo your point, coaches. Anytime a coach kind of changes a routine or changes who they are on these big games, the entire locker room senses it. Yeah. It changes everything that you go about it. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Day changed how he acted, okay? They're flying up here instead of driving up here this year. And obviously the boys on this particular team aren't going to view that as a big negative. But I think whenever we've talked to Coach Day in the past, we've heard through his answers and his antics, like, hey, he's thinking about this game. He's mentioned it. He's talked about it a lot. I think his players know that. This year is different because they're national champs. We shall see. And then Sherrone Moore's team's in a perfect situation. I think if I were you, hey, young team. Nobody's really expecting anything out of but we can knock off Ohio State again and do this. It's like mentally, you think Michigan's in a good spot, but the national champions have been dominant over everybody. So it's funny how it can all, in theory, happen, and then we just see what happens on the field.
Yeah, what's incredible is there's so much at stake on the outside of just the rivalry itself and wanting to win these games. I mean, Coach brought up A&M going on the road to Austin, Ohio State coming to Ann Arbor, Oregon going to Seattle, Alabama has to go to Auburn. So the fact that you're dealing with, we've got to win to achieve our goals within the rivalry and the season itself and do it on the road. Coach, you brought up Jordan-Hare. I mean, you go to LSU, you go to all these big games. What made Jordan-Hare different for Bama than, besides the obvious with the rivalry? What was different about it? Seems like every time it would come down to a kick or a last-second play.
Yeah, well, I think in games there's so much emotion involved. How do players handle that? Does it increase their intensity and do they maintain it, or does it create anxiety where they play tight? And to your point about changing things, I never changed anything. I got asked 100 times about what are you going to do different in this big game? And I would always say, if there was a better way to do it, we'd already done it that way. Yeah. So we're not going to do that. But it also affected the players. If you change the routine of the players, players would come to you in the locker room and say, Coach, don't you think we can win this game doing the things that we always do? You always say, be who we are. Right. Well, why are you changing who we are?
Yeah, well, who he is, he didn't think we could win. So you had those teams where every game was a winner. It's special. Rivalry week is, I mean, this is what college football is.
No doubt.
In a nutshell, it's a beautiful thing.
It's the lifeblood of the whole thing. In fact, not only that, it has amazing healing powers sometimes, too. And for that, inside the big house, Sherrone Moore will lead his team. Looking for the 5th straight win against Ohio State. Moments ago, he spoke with Jess Sims.
Coach, you've had incredible success in the big game over the last 2 seasons. How would you describe the physicality of such a historic matchup?
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? It's winning in the trenches, winning on the outside lanes, physicality. But, you know, you look at the weather here, you look at what this is all about, the stadium, these two teams battling in a great clash. We're excited about it.
Now, what is it about Bryce Underwood that gives you confidence that he's ready for the big stage today?
You know, he's had these moments all his life. You know, he's grown up in this rivalry. He knows exactly what it's all about. So excited for him, but he just needs to be himself.
Now, what are the last words that you're going to say to your guys before they run through that tunnel?
Yeah, embrace the moment. They know where they're at, but go attack the moment.
Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Oh, he looks cool.
He looks cool.
He looks cool.
He does not look tight, does he? You guys were talking earlier about taking your cue from your coach.
Yeah. Literally yesterday, me and Des were talking about that. The coach, everybody talks about the players. The coaches, though, in big games potentially change. We knew we had that interview. Shout out to Jess getting that done. And then we were just watching him like, does he look nervous? He doesn't look nervous at all. Sherrone looks very comfortable for the moment. He should, I guess.
I think after you're getting the trivia question right, you look pretty confident right now, too.
Thank you.
Before the athletic trivia question.
Oh, we got trivia?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
2 in a row.
Today's Athletic Trivia question. Who is the last true freshman quarterback to beat Ohio State?
Like just in this game or just in general?
No.
Shoelace.
Who'd you say?
No.
Denard Robinson.
No.
Second guess.
Last true freshman starting quarterback. Doesn't have to be Ohio State.
It doesn't have to be Michigan.
Or Michigan. Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Hold on.
Okay, so not in this game. Just the last true freshman to beat Ohio State.
In Columbus. USC. Matt Barkley.
There you go.
Good pull there, Herbie.
09.
Look at us getting on the board.
09. Look at
09.
He probably knows the stats and everything.
Called that game.
Have a look at the AT&T, keeping you connected with some bracket insights here. This is based on the current college football playoff rankings. Obviously, A&M is likely to slip out of that 3 spot. And another reminder, Miami is ranked 11th, but they are unlikely to get into the ACC championship game. So you've got to have another spot for the ACC champions. You're looking at that bracket, which is brought to you by Capital One. So, look, we've talked a lot about Miami, Notre Dame head-to-head. We've talked about Oklahoma and Alabama situation. Here's the one that I'm interested in. If Michigan beats Ohio State today, very popular with most people here, and doesn't get into the Big Ten championship game, what kind of case do you think they should have for an at-large bid?
Well, where are they sitting right now? They're sitting at 15. 15. If you knock off number 1 team, you obviously throw your hat in the ring for this discussion. The problem is all the stacked teams that are going to potentially be 10-2. They're going to have a strong case. especially winning late if you were to win against the number one team and they skip Indianapolis. I just think it's a numbers game. It's just going to come down to the committee. If I'm Michigan, I need teams like Alabama to lose. I need teams like Miami of Florida to lose to be able to help your cause of potentially getting in there if they were to upset Ohio State today.
Well, I think obviously if Michigan win this game today and Oregon loses and Michigan has a chance to get in the Big Ten championship, that really accelerates their opportunity probably to get in. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a long shot if they just win this game because there's so many teams stacked up from 6 to 13 that they're going to have to pass up.
Anytime you're talking about another team from any of these conferences, you obviously have to chat about the Group of 5 champion that gets one of these 12-team spots. Notre Dame has been dominant, so they're obviously going to get it. If the ACC, because of the eye test, was to steal a second spot, I think it would be difficult for another Big Ten team to get in there as an at-large. There's just so many things that can happen. Texas beating Texas A&M last night has already kind of started the chaos a little bit. Because you start looking at Texas A&M's resume, it's like, who'd they beat? You start looking at who in the SEC they beat, and then they lose to Texas last game. And I know Elko was upset about the press conference, but I think he might be upset with the way they talk about him in the committee room, too. So not that they're going to get out of it, but it's just like there's still a lot of movement, I think, over the next week or so.
Might be right there on the cut line for a home game.
Which would be great.
So
that would be great down there in College.
I wish we can do this discussion, this debate with like the blind resume. So you don't know who the teams are, but you see the strength of schedule, the teams that they beat and the teams that they lost against. I think that's the most important factor. When you take away the brands and you look at their record, the metrics, that's the best way to figure out who belongs where in this type of situation. Texas had an incredible win last night, knocking off the number 3 team in the country. So obviously they have a hell of an argument for an at-large bid. But if Michigan knocks off the number 1 team, we're not talking about the number 1 team for the last couple of weeks. We're talking about pretty much after week 1 to week 13. So I think they would have a strong argument for an at-large bid, too.
Are you going to go into the committee room and tell them that, or what do you think?
I would love to go in the committee room and tell them that. You know that.
I want to go on the record every week. I said this last week. The Power 5 teams ought to have a certain ranking before they get in because you're going to knock some good team out because they get in. If they're not in the top 15, they shouldn't be in.
I think that'll apply across the board. If the ACC champion is not in the top 15,
you're out.
Too bad.
True. Exactly.
It's no big secret why Michigan has won the last 4 meetings. They've controlled the line of scrimmage. The running game has been decidedly in the Wolverines' favor, and that happened even with the 2 great backs that Ohio State had last year with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. It's been all Michigan running the ball. In fact, for nearly a quarter of a century. Win the rushing battle, win the game. 23 straight times it's happened. Buckeyes head coach a little while ago, Ryan Day, with Jen Latta.
Coach, some of the comments by you and your players this week exude a confidence we haven't seen before from this unit. Why do you feel so confident going into this matchup?
Well, it's just been a build all year, and our routine and what we've done and building a foundation up to this game so that we're ready for the moment. And we've had a great week of preparation. Guys woke up with great energy, and so it's about now everybody getting on the field and doing their job.
Your quarterback's first time in this rivalry game. What has been your message to him specifically?
Win the game. Win the game, play tough. There's a lot that comes with playing in this game in terms of, managing, the situations and everything. But, we're going to be in attack mode from the jump on this thing.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, you got it. Thanks, Jen.
Jen, Ryan, thank you very much. We've moved inside Michigan Stadium. Well over the capacity of 107,000 and change will be inside here for this latest edition of this grand rivalry. The psyche of these teams, really fascinating. I recall last year, we were in Columbus for the Indiana game, and Ryan Day said in an interview that the number 1 goal was to beat the rival. That was before they played Indiana. Then, of course, after leading up to the Michigan game, said it was one of the worst things that had ever happened to his family, losing those 3 games in a row at that time, now 4. I sense something's changed a little bit since they won the national championship, and the approach is a little bit different. How do you define the importance of the right psychological disposition headed into the?
I think that's everything. The right psychological mentality going into a game like this is important because you have to make sure that the coach is in line with the players. He's going to give the message to the players. We take our cue from our coach and our coaching staff, and whatever they do, whatever they feel, we will sense it. And if they're tight, then we're going to play tight. If they're loose, then we can relax. All the coaches that I've played for in big rivalries, whether it was college or pro, they always made sure that there was intensity building up throughout the work week. But then on the game day, they wanted to make sure that you felt comfortable. You felt relaxed. The hay is in the barn. You did the hard work. Now let's just go out there, have fun, and execute. If you don't have that mentality, that psychological disposition going to a game of this magnitude, then at that point, I think you're doing your team a disservice. So you have to make sure that they're ready throughout the week. But on game day, guys, let's go. We're ready. We're prepared. Let's relax and go out there and just have fun and execute.
So when we sat here in 2021, it was snowing. Michigan beat Ohio State. Hutch, who's going to be here as our celebrity picker, had a huge moment. It was a turning point in the rivalry. I feel like from that point on, for Ryan Day, in 22 at home, 23 back up here in 24, and Coach can relate to this. I think Ryan Day approached this where he coached and played not to lose, is what Des is referring to. Instead of, think about last year. They were holding on for dear life, just trying to get out of there with a win. It was like a bubble popped when they went into the playoff, and it looked like a different team. Who's that team against Tennessee and Oregon and Texas and Notre Dame? They threw havoc to the win. They took chances. They threw the ball. All of a sudden, Jeremiah Smith, he wasn't that guy all year. He was in those 4 games. Will that be the Ryan Day today? This guy had armed guards outside of his house for his own fan base after he lost 4th straight game to Michigan. So can he block out what if this game and play and coach to win and take the chances and not be afraid of those chances, because that's how he coached in those 4 games when they made that run last year to the national title?
Well, you know, the thing I always thought was really important through the course of the week, to your point, is routine. Don't change a lot of stuff. Don't put a lot of new stuff in. Do what the players are confident in. But the thing we always did was we were installing stuff throughout the course of the year that the players had confidence in that the other team had never seen before. Yep. But being aggressive, to your point, we were playing in the SEC championship game against Tennessee back in 2001. And we go for it on 4th and 1 on our own 29-yard line and get stuffed by John Henderson and don't make it. We were behind 17-3. Yeah. We won the game 31-20. Oh, I thought it was the dumbest decision I ever made. Yeah. The players came up to me in the locker room after the game and said, Coach, when you went for it on 4th down, we thought you thought we could win, and we played our ass off after that. Yeah. So you got to be aggressive, man. Yeah. You got to throw caution to the wind and do the things and believe and trust in your players.
That's an excellent point. I think Sherrone Moore and Bryce Underwood feel that. You know, I think like, hey, we're not supposed to. This Ohio State team has everything to obviously lose in this particular game if they were to lose to us yet again. And you talk about Ryan Day changing up who he is and them running around 13-10. Everybody said that Ryan Day was trying to bully Michigan. Like it was a statement like, hey, I want to not only beat them, I want to beat them up and show who we are. I think the game had gotten into his head way too much. You talk about the 24/7 armed guard. That's a real thing, not just for him, his family, every single day of his life. So winning the national championship, I think that makes him a little bit more certified, probably in his own mind, probably in the locker room's mind, and certainly in the fan base's mind. So hopefully we see the best of both teams as opposed to like a scared team or two in the big game.
Not to lose.
You know, certainly happen.
It's so great when the rivalry game mean everything. Yeah. But the reality is, with the playoff system now, it doesn't mean the same thing. It doesn't have to be live.
Yeah, right. 24/7. Did you hear what we just said?
That was before they won the national championship.
Yeah, but that's how much these rivalries mean.
I know.
Ryan Day wins the national championship.
I think it's a little bit different now.
He wins the national championship.
You want to lose your 5th straight?
No, nobody's saying that. I'm saying, how many people asked you about the Auburn game in 2017 after Tua threw the touchdown pass to win a national championship?
Nobody.
This is my point. Yeah. Win the big trophy.
Win the big trophy.
Different guy. That's Nick Saban.
On the
How many national titles?
On the subject.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you.